Hello. In this session we'll explore the definition of a framework and why they're beneficial to web application developers. In a traditional bare-bones PHP development environment, a developer is required to create interfaces for each aspect of the system, e.g. database access or user authentication, and a framework is one kind of solution to this problem. In information technology terms, and particularly web development terms, this could be defined as an abstraction in which software providing generic functionality can be selectively changed by user code, thus providing application-specific software. And one of the holy grails of software development is reuse. And reuse enables efficiencies in the amount of new code required, thus time and cost, not just in pure coding effort, but all the other tasks undertaken as part of the development lifecycle, design, coding, testing, etc. In the past, in pursuit of this holy grail, we've seen the creation of toolkits and libraries. A library can be defined as a collection of routines bundled together to provide functionality for a specific domain or area. And with a library, the application developer decides when and how to call a library function. There is no constraint other than syntax, how or when the application developer decides to incorporate that library. A framework, on the other hand, provides a developer with an application skeleton into which the developer can drop their code, and one could suggest that this application framework is a blank application waiting for the developer to fill in, a bit like an MS Word template. But what particularly distinguishes a framework from a toolbox or library is something called inversion of control, and this means where the framework can take control of the order of processing, for example with a callback. We'll be familiar with this concept in a Windows GUI development language, such as JavaScript or C#, etc., where we add code to events, such as onClick or onChange, and the user and/or Windows decides when these events are executed, not the programmer. And this is a fundamental difference between a library and a framework. Another key feature of a framework is extensibility, the ability to override or extend a base class using inheritance and add or replace features to provide new functionality. For example, we might want to override the user identity class to change the way that user authentication is handled. Lastly, from a developer's perspective, frameworks can free us up to concentrate on developing the business functionality required by the client. Now back to reuse, the holy grail of all software development, and let's look at some statistics. Some sources claim that object-oriented programming can offer cost savings over procedural programming of between 20 and 60%, and frameworks can make up the difference and add another 20 or 30% cost saving. When you add these two together, that can be a massive saving of between 40 and 90%. So in this session, we've looked at what a framework is, and we've discovered the defining term, inversion of control. We've seen that frameworks can remove the need to code repetitive complex functions, and we've seen that the advantages of using a framework can save the developer a lot of time and effort.